Okay, so welcome back to Mansions of Madness. Now we're going to be playing one of the expansion pack missions because we recently got that, and we're going to be using the two characters that came with it, Kechi Onye and Wilson Richards. One is quite good with spells due to high law and observation and willpower. The other's quite good at more physical combat as well. And they've got differing stats in terms of health and the amount of psychological horror they can take. So I think they complement each other quite nicely. So let's start a new game. And we're going to be doing Vengeful Impulses. An acquaintance named Thomas Carvey requests the pleasure of your company at a dinner party. Among his other invitees is a man or woman Carvey believes to be plotting his demise. Using this party as cover, find out who is planning Carvey's murder and why. So we'll just pick the two that we're using. Get some starting items. 45 automatic, fine clothes, a medical textbook, a wither spell, and one clue apiece. Okay, so definitely give the wither spell to her. We'll also give her the fine clothes because it helps in an influence test and hers is lower. Wilson's more likely to be in a fight, so we'll give him the medical textbook as well as the 45 automatic. So that should be fairly good between the pair of them, so let's get cracking.
Thomas Carvey has a reputation for throwing unique dinner parties. Each of his soirees combines strange food with even stranger people. When his invitation came in the mail, your first instinct was to toss it in the trash. But the personal plea on the reverse side, written in large, blocky letters, caught your attention. Now, as your car winds up the drive, your doubts return. Carvey's lavish mansion and fancy topiary cannot conceal his reputation completely. Your fellow guests are surely some of his more infamous connections, people with only veneers of respectability. Carvey greets you almost immediately after you get out of the car. "Oh, you made it, right. This way." He lowers his voice. "Some of the guests have already arrived. You need to be discreet. This may all come to nothing, but still, my general policy is always to have an ace up my sleeve, so get in there and figure out who is trying to kill me."
Okay, so we've laid out the main entrance hall and we've placed our figures right at the start there. You follow your host inside and surprised at the disarray. Several pieces of furniture lie on the floor and it looks like a fight has occurred. Place the investigator figures as indicated. Back under his roof, Carvey seems to slip easily into his role as host. "Welcome to my home. Please excuse the mess. There was a minor incident earlier, but I will tell everyone about it during dinner." Place a person token as indicated. This is Thomas Carvey. He believes an acquaintance here is planning to murder him. A polite clearing of the throat draws your attention to a smartly dressed butler who's tidying the mess. Thomas nods. "Ah yes, that is my butler. He's the only one in the house who knows why." He stops, looking around briefly. "Well, my butler can also help you with anything you need before dinner." A day planner has been set on a side table. Place a search token. A thin piece of parchment has been framed on a wall. Place another search token. Through that door is the dining room. You can find Miss May Nguyen enjoying herself in there. Place an exploration token. Through that door is the library. Leyland Williams is likely reclining in there. Place an exploration token. Through those doors is the lounge. Miss Elizabeth Fairview is in there, worrying about what's on the menu. She has a very advanced palate. Thomas smiles. "Also, I believe young Mr. Darcy is trying to avoid small talk in there." Over there is the conservatory, but if you care to mingle, you'll not find anyone there. You notice a door that Carvey has failed to mention. Place an explore token as indicated. Carvey gestures you closer to him. Now, dinner will be starting promptly at 7, so you only have a little time to mingle before dinner. After dinner, you'll be able to talk with them more and really understand my concerns. Also, whilst I appreciate why you're here, please have a certain level of discretion. That means no ransacking my house in front of my guests. I've seen how your type operates. Thomas Carvey has hired you to find which among his 4 dinner guests is attempting to kill him. In exchange for your assistance, he has promised to pass you information on some of his more suspicious contacts. In order to save his life, you must mingle with the other 4 invitees to learn more about them. So, since we're right next to that door already, let's get Wilson Richards to poke his head in and have a look. Carvey mentioned this was the door to the dining room, that Miss May Nguyen, one of the guests, was in here. The dining room is surprisingly cosy. Discover the explore token and place a dining room tile. A young woman mixes a drink. Place a person token as indicated. This is May Nguyen, one of your suspects. A strange amulet on the side table catches your eye. Place a search token. Something has been forgotten underneath the table. Place a search token. Another door leads to the kitchen. Place an exploration token. You may move one space into the explored area. I shall. And since that's just one action to actually open the door and move in as part of it, I'm right next to May, so let's have a chat with her, see what she's doing. May Nguyen swirls a drink in her hand. Great. Well, hello to you too. She grins and raises a glass. Now it appears to me that you're not having nearly enough fun at this party. Hold on just a moment. May opens a drawer in the coffee table, revealing an assortment of bottles. She mixes you some kind of concoction made from several liquids. Now this is what makes a party. Here, try it. Drink it straight, that's illegal. Well, she's into a drink, I should be too. Drink it straight. Whatever she's put in this drink, it certainly burns. Strength check. Wilson Richards has a strength of 5. 1, 2, 3. That'll do. 1, 2, 3. You down it and May lets out a low whistle. Alright, will you look at that? Finally someone who can keep up with me. Tom has been no fun at all lately, spending all his time out in that conservatory of his. He's going to have some great tomatoes one day, I'm sure. Here, you'll not miss this. Gain the whiskey, common item. So, just robbing your mate's drinks cabinet. Okay, cool. Now, what can I help you with? Can you tell me about yourself, or how do you know Carvey? Well, she's a socialite, so I'm sure she loves telling her about herself. Me? Oh, well, I do love talking about myself, though it'll be up to you to tell the truth from the extravagant lies. I'm up for the challenge. Meg laughs, but you detect something different about her. Influence check. I have 4 with Wilson Richards. Partial, partial, partial. Ooh, not good. I don't think spending just the one will do it. I think we'll just let that slide with 0. Unable to tell what struck you as strange, you push on, and the conversation flows naturally into a teasing banter until you realise you're gaining no new information. Gain a clue. Okay, so didn't get anything useful out of her, but we've got a clue at least. And that was my second action to talk to her with that one. So let's get a catchy. Probably better to find out more about the guests in person. So let's move down to here. 1, 2, and open that door there. The lounge is full of fine artwork and lavish features. Place the lounge. An elegant woman sips at a drink near a window. Place a person as indicated. This is Elizabeth Fairview, one of your suspects. Right over there. A young man is studying a painting on a wall. Place a person token as indicated. This is Bruce Darcy, one of your suspects. A large sword has been mounted to a wall above a couch. Place a search token as indicated. An assortment of picture frames has been arranged on a side table. Place a search token. You may move one space into the explored area. Yes, please. In we go. Okay, and that's the investigators done on the first turn. A malicious voice whispers valuable secrets into Akechi Onya's ear. She becomes mesmerised but gains a clue. So, gain a clue, and we grab one of the new mesmerised cards. So at the end of this turn, an alien will takes control. Flip this card. So once we're done with the investigation, we flip the card and see what happens. Let's do Akechi's stuff first, because we don't entirely know what she's going to end up doing. Let's move next to this guy and say hello. Bruce Darcy straightens his tie, his eyes fixed on a painting. He startles, then a nervous smile crosses his face. Oh, hello, it's nice to meet you. Can you tell me about yourself? How do you know Carvey? He's nervous, he probably doesn't want to say about himself, so how do you know Carvey? Oh, Thomas? He does business with my father, and we became acquaintances through that. He certainly acquires the collection of friends. Collection of friends, business with your father. Business with your father. Bruce looks uncertain, and he glances away from you. You attempt to set him at ease. Influence check. Now, Akechi originally has an influence of 3, but I do have the fine close, so I get an additional dice when resolving. So rolling 4. Nothing. No, I'm afraid I can't speak of it. Please, excuse me. At least we gain a clue out of it, I guess. Okay, so that wasn't helpful in the slightest. Can we push May for more information? May sips from a drink. Having fun, or no one here can be as fun as you, right? I don't want to push the flattery too far. Darling, if you're not having fun at a party, you're doing something wrong. There are always so many dour faces at Tom's. It's downright depressing. Do yourself a favour and don't be like them. I will not be dour faces. Continue the conversation, dour faces. What did I just say? Don't worry so much. It's just like Carvey to end up adding another nervous wreck to our numbers. I will not stand for it. I'm going to enjoy my drink. Gain the clue. Well, that's a dismissal if ever I heard one. What's the question mark next to it about? The amulet is hefty and will be hard to conceal. It would be a mistake to test. Okay, so I can't take that now, but that did not cost an action. It did not have the symbol. I think I'll go back and speak to the butler for next turn. So 1, 2, but I can't speak to him just yet. So Akechi. So speaking to him was a bit of a bust. He's probably going to clam up if I try again. So let's move over 1, 2, and speak to Miss Fairview. Elizabeth Fairview looks over a recipe handwritten on a clean sheet of paper. Agreed. She turns to you with a smile. Excuse me, I was just looking over one of tonight's dishes. Gourmet cooking is a hobby of mine. It was how my late husband and I first met, in fact. She extends a hand. Elizabeth Fairview. Charmed. Kiss a hand, shake a hand. Elizabeth's smile widens. Oh, I like you. Can you tell me about yourself? How do you know Carvey? Tell me about yourself. Oh, you are a flatterer asking a woman to talk about herself. Well, have it your way. What would you like to know? Ask about cooking, ask about her late husband. Cooking's the passion, that's how they met anyway. She's more likely to say something if we talk about the cooking. Cooking is an art and a science, and I've always enjoyed the challenge of each. It's also a great opportunity to gossip. Cooks can be so friendly when there's company other than the roast goose. Gain a clue. Okay, so still not as useful as I was hoping, and that's both their actions done. So, into the mythos phase. The wind rises from nowhere and vanishes just as quickly. No immediate effect. Also, since it's the end of that, we have to do the mesmerise for Akechi, so flip it over. Arcane danger. Knowledge has roots in dark and dangerous practices. You must consider which risks are worth taking. Suffer one face-down horror unless you drop a spell. Ooh, I don't want to discard the spell. That's literally the only weapon she has at this point, so I will get a face-down horror. Okay, so let's chat up that butler real quick, see what he knows. The butler has begun to tidy the foyer by righting the overturned furniture. What happened here, and what's through that far door? What happened here? The butler's dull monotone is a stark contrast to the tight frown of his face. A gardener, Mr. Carvey's employee, took exception to a comment made by Mr. Carvey earlier today. He has since been released from employment. I would not normally speak of such unpleasant business, but I was instructed to answer any questions you might have. Please do not spread this around. Gain a clue. Okay, so it didn't really give me that much information, but let's see what's through the door next to him, because I'm stood right there. Carvey mentioned this was a door to the conservatory. Explore. Ooh. The conservatory is pleasantly warm and smells of fresh flowers. Place this conservatory tile. A pile of gardening tools has been left abandoned. Place a search token as indicated. Carvey's shown a recent devotion to gardening. Perhaps if you look around the conservatory, you could discover why. Place another search token. A glass door leads out into Carvey's yard. Place an explore token. You may move one space in. I shall. That's both his actions done. Okay. Do I want to speak to her again? Because I think she's still friendly, even if she didn't give much information. Let's see if she has anything else to say. Elizabeth twines a necklace through her hand. This lovely necklace, you must know a lot about everyone else. Well, there's always a good crowd at Tom's. I've known Bruce practically since he was a child. His father and my late husband went way back. One day he'll come out of his shell. Leyland is a dear. My late husband and I often invited Tom and him over for dinner. Nothing would make me happier than see May settle down one of these days. Now that you know he's here, enjoy yourself. It is a party. Gain a clue. Swimming in clues at this point, not in information though. I doubt I'll be able to take the thing next to her. Yeah, no, I can't. Let's move over here for the second action. 1, 2, and we'll try and get in there next turn. A cacophony of creaks and knocks erupt all around you. This mythos event infests the investigator with the lowest law. Well, that's Wilson Richards. The sound is unnerving and you fear what must be causing it. Willpower needing 2. I have 3. 1, 2, pass. If you pass, the sound must be just the vermin in the walls. Let's see what's happening in the conservatory. Let's see what that love of gardening is all about. Carvey's shown a recent interest in gardening. Perhaps by looking around you'll discover the root of his interest. Unfortunately, looking around now might not fall under... so that doesn't cost an action, but I can't do anything with it. What about the thing next to it? A pile of gardening tools has been left abandoned. Search. Digging through the tools, you find most of them to be rusted and useless. However, just as you're ready to give up, you notice one thing still in working order. Gain the 38 revolver, common item. Okay. Just leaving your iron with your gardening tools. And we gain the 38 revolver. It's not as good as the 45 automatic I already have, so we'll try and pass that off to Akechi at some point, I think. A glass door leads out into Carvey's yard. Explore. As you turn the handle to the door, a large dog comes shooting out the darkness, barking wildly. Place a person token as indicated. As you persist on opening the door, the bark subsides into a throaty growl that causes you to step away from the door. Clearly, Carvey does not allow his guests into his yard, and you cannot fault the dog for doing its job. Yeah, never fault the doggo. As you turn the door, you spot something of use. Gain a machete, common item. Oof. Who would have thought you'd find so many weapons in a gardening shed? But nice, I'm not going to complain. So, that's my second action as well, because I got something out of that. So, let's go into this room here with Akechi. Carvey mentioned this was the door to the library and that Leyland Williams, one of the guests, was in here. The library is well kept, the shelves are neatly organised and the room smells faintly of polished wood. Discard the explore token and place a library and a wall. A stately man jots down notes on a small notepad. Place a person token as indicated. This is Leyland Williams, one of your suspects. An ancient tome lies in a glass case. Place a search item. A familiar cover on one of the books catches your eye. Place a search token. You may move one space into the explored area. I will. That was action 1. Action 2, let's talk to Leyland. Leyland Williams jots into a small notebook. Leyland tucks his notebook into his pocket, then shakes your hand. Pleasure to meet you. Can you tell me about yourself? How do you know Carvey? How do you know Carvey? Thomas Carvey. Met him at a charity gala. It was nice to have a friendly face at those things. We have a lot of similar interests, so we hit things off rather well. How do you know Thomas? Similar interests? Met him at a club. I'm thinking if I say similar interests, he's probably going to challenge me on that. I've got clues to burn though, so similar interests as well. Well then, I'm sure you and I will get along just fine. Say, has Thomas shown you any of his collection yet? You should take the chance before dinner to look around. The sword Carvey has on his wall is just one of several rare pieces he keeps on display, though truth be told I'm more interested in that book over there. I'm usually the first to hear of new finds like that one, but he got it out from right under my nose. Refuses to sell it too, which is a shame because I know I could turn a profit for him. Gain a clue. So, walking in there and talking to him, yep, that's us done. Mythos. An invisible presence passes close by to Wilson Richards, hurling him painfully to the ground. He suffers 2 face-down damage. Oh, okay, so 1, 2 face-down damage for Wilson Richards. Investigators. Okay, let's get out of the clearly quite drafty conservatory, shall we? There's still a door there, and I'm surprised it didn't link up to the library, so let's have a poke in there if we can. So, we'll move 1, 2, 1, 2, and that's him done. We'll have a look next turn. Step out into the hall and try this door here. Carvey clearly does not yet believe that whatever is behind this door is relevant to the investigation. Okay, so I can't open that door yet. Well, can I investigate the thing beside it? You look over the parchment with interest and know it would be useful to your investigation. Unfortunately, so I can't take that either. Oh, let's move back and we'll talk to Leyland next turn, I guess. A loose fluttering page covered in barely legible text catches Wilson Richards' eye. It's not his lucky day. Unable to resist, he reads. Wilson Richards suffers 2 face-down horror, but law negates. He only has a law of 2. So, need 2 to avoid it. Ooh, and I'll spend the clue to convert that partial to success. I pass. Then he flips 1 horror face up. I have no horror. So, let's get Wilson to open this door here. This door leads to the kitchen. The kitchen is warm and filled with the aroma of cooking food. Discard this explore token and place the kitchen tile. Carvey's cook is stirring something over the oven. Place a person token. Through a small door appears to be a well-stocked pantry. Place a search token. may move one space in. I shall. Okay, so one of the guests mentioned something about the cooks being good for gossip, so let's see what she has to say. The cook busies herself with something on the stove. Any good gossip? Yeah, go on then. No such thing as good gossip, the cook winks. But I suppose I can share a little something. Did you know that Mr. Carvey has a particular love of gardening? Spends a lot of time in that conservatory of his. I would not imagine myself looking at it from just looking at him, getting a clue. Okay, well, we already know about the conservatory, but clearly there's something important there that we'll need to look into later when we can. And that's both actions, so let's speak to Leyland again. Leyland has returned to jotting things in his notebook. How's business? Are you acquainted with the other guests? Leyland shrugs. Fine as it ever was. Why? Are you interested in acquiring something? Yes, I am. Just asking. Yes, I am. Well then, I'm sure we would come to some sort of understanding. You should come by my office tomorrow. Bruce Darcy was in there just the other day asking about my wares, and I'll tell you what I said then. I have the best selection in 5 states. Come by, and I'll give you the tour. Gain a clue. Okay, so he's been speaking to Bruce Darcy recently, who was interested in getting stuff, so it might be worth chatting to him again. Let's move back into that room 1, 2 to speak to Bruce again if we can next turn. Hissing and weaving like a serpent, a rope rises up to around Akechi Onye. If she passes, she dodges the rope, which collapses. So, needing agility. She only has 2, and I need 2 to pass. Pass. Nice, she passes. Yeah, she does pass. She dodges the rope, which collapses. Only an ordinary cord of hemp once more. Thomas Carvey said that dinner will start probably at 7. You're running out of time to question the other guests. Okay. Right, so last call then. So, I guess we'll get Wilson to step back 1, 2 and chat to Mei Nguyen again, since she's the closest person. Mei sips on a drink. Oh, right, so yeah, she's not talkative. That's her done. We've not actually spoken to Thomas yet, have we? I won't be able to this turn, so we'll just step there and prep if we can. But that's Wilson done. So let's get Catchy to move there and speak to Bruce. Bruce adjusts his glasses. Do you like these parties? What will you tell me about the other guests? Clearly he doesn't like them, but let's press him a bit. Do you like these parties? More than most I've attended. The words seem to slip right from his mouth, and Bruce flushes. I mean, many of the parties I'm fortunate enough to attend are quite lovely, and I'll not presume to insult anyone. She trails off, running one hand through his hair. Now I understand. That did sound bad. My sincerest apologies. This is often why my father likes to attend these sort of events by himself. Please, don't let me keep you from your evening. Gain a clue. Ugh. He's slyer than I thought he was. A piping, haunting music echoes from everywhere, but only Wilson Richards can hear it. He suffers 2 horror, but law plus 1 negates. My law is 2, so 3. Ooh, yes. All partials. Let's spend some clues to turn 2 of those to successes. So we pass. Suffers 2 horror, but then, no horror for Wilson Richards. Any moment now, the dinner bell will summon you to dinner. Okay, so basically last call to question anybody. Okay, let's speak to Thomas. Thomas Carvey checks his watch impatiently. Tell me about the suspects. You'll find out more about them if you've mingled a little, but very well. They're all dear friends of mine, as you know. Carvey leans in to talk more softly. Bruce Darcy has bad nerves. I would suggest being careful not to spook him. His father and I had a bit of a falling out recently. Business ethics, you see. I do not remove my competition from this earthly plane. Ooh, that sounds like a murder. Elizabeth Fairview is a wonderful woman if you're in her good graces. I'm genuinely sorry to report that I am no longer in her good graces. A spot of trouble with her husband. Best not to mention it. Leyland Williams is a professional rival. He's a pillar of the community, at least according to him. It might be true, but the things I've seen that pillar do, well, I wonder what kind of community he belongs to. Mei Nguyen was not always the Spitfire socialite she is now. I had to get her out of a scrape a few years ago. I cannot go into detail, I'm afraid. There, that ought to give you a sense of the other guests. Now play nice, but not too nice. Game 2 clues. 1, 2. I'll see if I can press him for any more. I mean, he's right there and I won't be able to get anything. I think you ought to meet some of the other guests, don't be shy. Okay, so he's not saying anything else. So with Wilson's second action, I can't really get anything else out of him. Let's step into here. Like maybe the cook has something more to say. Akachi's right there. Do I press Bruce or do I speak to Miss Fairview? She was the one who told me about the cook, wasn't she? So since Carvey's saying we shouldn't have spooked him, maybe he did have more to say when I pressed a bit too hard. Maybe let's try going soft on Bruce. Bruce has returned to study the painting. Okay. So not an action, but he ain't talking, he's clammed up. So let's go speak to Miss Fairview. Elizabeth's invested in critiquing the recipe. Okay, yeah. We ain't getting anything out of any of these people. Okay, I think we've seen all there is to see from these people. They're not really telling us anything right now. Let's just step to there to potentially investigate that next time. So, ending the phase. The ringing of a bell calls everyone to this evening's meal. You and the other guests are moving towards the dining room when the lights suddenly go out and the mansion is plunged into darkness. Place darkness in each space on the board. Then each investigator suffers one face-down horror, but willpower negates. Investigator in darkness cannot spend clues to convert dice. Well, so all those clues are getting useless then. Okay, so first off, face-down horror, but willpower negates. So Wilson has a willpower of 3, so need at least 1. Yeah, he's fine. And Akechi has a willpower of 5, needing at least 1. Yeah, there we go. So we don't get any horror, but we need to put darkness all over the board. Okay, and so the board is covered in darkness, and we can't convert dice rolls using clues whilst it's still dark. So that'd be the fuse box. I've been having issues all week. Carvey's voice booms from somewhere in the dark. Just a moment, I'll get it back in working order. Everyone find a chair and sit tight. Though you hear a cacophony of footsteps, your eyes have trouble adjusting to the sudden dark. You lose track of the others in the house. Remove all person tokens from the board. A few long moments pass in the dark before muffled thumps and bangs come from beneath the floors. Things briefly go quiet, then a horrific scream pierces the night. With growing concerns, you recognise the panicked voice of Thomas Carvey. Each investigator suffers 2 horror, willpower negates. Okay, so Wilson, willpower of 3, needing 2. 1 on a partial, but I can't use that to convert, so I just get 1 horror, and it's not face down. Paranoia. Keep face up. Whenever you end your turn within range of another investigator, flip a horror face up. Ooh, okay. Keep a distance. Akachi. 5. 1, 2. She's fine. Somewhere deeper in the mansion, something has happened to your host. Find the source of the scream and restore lights to the house to discover the cause of Carvey's panic. There's one room we've not explored yet, so it's almost certainly going to be right there. So let's get Akachi to move 1, 2, and try that door there. You try the handle but find it locked. Is someone there? Mr. Carvey? The polite voice of the butler pipes in the darkness nearby. Place a person token as indicated. Ah, Mr. Carvey's special guest. I was quite concerned. It should not have taken this long to get the lights back on. You can reach the basement of Mr. Carvey through his office. Please find my employer. Here, I'll unlock the door for you. The butler fumbles for a moment for the key and then opens the door and gestures you inside. In the darkness, you make out the dim shape of a desk. Discard the Explore token, place an office tile. A locked case has been placed on the shelf. Place a search token. Some papers and books lie on Carvey's desk. Place a search token. Just as the butler mentioned, a door to the far end of the room leads further into the mansion. Place an Explore token. You may move 1 space in. Yes, please. So I had to move there and interact with the door to get it open, so that's me done for this turn, for her. So let's do something with Wilson, I think. I mean, I'm stood right next to one of those things. Maybe I can take it. You see an abandoned item beneath the table. If you're careful, perhaps you'll acquire it before anyone notices. Using your foot, you attempt to nudge the item towards you surreptitiously. Agility, he has 4. Success, 2. With the item at your feet, you feign having dropped it yourself. Get in the pocket watch, common item. So that allows me to perform an additional step when attempting a puzzle. Oh, that's quite nice. And that search token goes away. So That's his first action. Still nobody about, is there? I don't think there'll be anything that useful in the pantry. It's probably the rest of the house, so I might be better served exploring the rest of the place. That guy wanted a book about here, didn't he? So let's try and make our way for that. 1, 2. That's us done. I've not noticed before, but there's something strange about the walls of this room. This mythos event affects the investigator in the dining room. There was currently no one in the dining room, no effect. A rustling comes from the hall. It sounds like someone else is going through Carvey's things. Discard the search token. Ooh, so this one in the hallway is gone. So the other guests are trying to pilfer all his stuff as well. Yeah, it's made for the book regardless. 1, 2, 3. That's all done. Actually, so let's try and get these lights on. 1, and open that door. The small basement is cluttered with sundry items cast into shadow by candlelight. Place the basement storage tile and wall, then place darkness in each square. A lantern has been set onto the floor of the basement. Place the bullseye common item. The fuse box Carvey sorts is against the far wall. Place it there. A ghastly figure is slumped in the corner. Place a search token. Thomas Carvey lies on the floor, dead. His sightless eyes stare towards the ceiling and his body is shrouded by candle stubs. He appears burnt or shriveled, though you don't smell the stench of burning flesh. Place a search token. You may move one space in. Yeah. Move one in. That's us done because I had to move to get there to open the door. You're suddenly aware of the awful and unstoppable passage of time, obsessively dwelling on your ultimate mortal fate. Each investigator suffers 2 face-down horror, but willpower negates. So, Wilson has 3. None. He gets 2 face-down horror. 1, 2, and I've not finished in range of another investigator, so I don't have to flip any of those. And she has 5. Oh yeah, she's fine. The clattering of small objects comes from the dining room. Discard the search token. Ah, so someone's robbed that. Okay, let's get these lights on real quick, I think. I'm trying with the fuse box. The fuse box Carvey sorts and hangs open on the wall. Someone has muddled with the wires. You must reconnect them properly to restore power to the house. Tap to attempt the puzzle using observation. Oh, that could work. So, move that there for 1. Move that there for 2. That one in the top corner is in completely the wrong place. So I think that one definitely has to go there. Oh, maybe if we swap that. So now I'm on my second action. And swap that, swap that, swap that. Oh, the 2 end actions. No, that doesn't work. Oh, what if that and that? Okay, so I spend 2 clues in order to get there, but we got there. You flip the master lever and the lights in the house flicker back on. Discard all darkness token from the board. Someone must have shut the power off to the house. Gain the circumstantial evidence unique item and 1 clue. Then discard the search token. The butler mops his brow with a damp handkerchief. Place a person token as indicated. The cook wrings her hands near a half-finished dessert. Place a person token. Bruce paces the dining room. Place Bruce Darcy in the dining room. Now that was where the last object vanished, I think. Elizabeth hovers near the uneaten food. Place Elizabeth Fairview as indicated. Well, that's in character. Leyland puffs a cigar, a slight tremor in his hand. May cries quietly in the library. Place a person. With the lights restored, you can question the other guests on the murder of Thomas Carvey. Okay, so that was both of Ketch's actions to get the lights on, so she can't do anything there. So, Wilson, let's see what May was up to, shall we? May weeps quietly, pressing a damp handkerchief to eye. Where are you when the lights out? Who has motive to kill Thomas Carvey? So clearly upset, so probably best not to accuse her of anything just yet. Who has motive? Honestly, I would not trust Leyland as far as I could throw him. He likes to act all high and mighty, but I've seen what usually happens to his competitors. When Tom stopped collecting things for him and went into selling them himself, That was a declaration of war in Leyland's eyes. I'm sure of it. Sure, Bruce is nervous. I would be too if I had a father like his. A nervous kid like that is probably just trying to find a way to take his father's attention off him. I'm not saying Bruce would have wanted to kill Tom, but if his father wanted Tom dead, well, maybe Bruce did not have a choice. Okay, so she suspects Bruce and Leyland. And, well, actually, Leyland was into that book, and I think that's what I stood next to, so let's see that. An ancient tome is housed in a locked glass case. Search. Ooh, puzzle. So I've got my pocket watch that allows me to take an additional step. It's using observation. His is 3, so I have 4 steps, and I can burn clues for more. So let's have a look at this puzzle. Okay, so observation. I have 4 steps because of the extra one. So in order for that to escape, that long one needs to come down. So that needs to go up. They need to go across. And that comes down there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I can do it in 5. So I'll spend a clue to do that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and spend a clue for 5. The glass case opens with a small click. Gain the Tome of Secrets, common item, then discard the search token. Tome of Secrets. You may become mesmerised to convert all partials to actual successes when we roll in a test. Ooh, okay. So I could do that on a particularly crucial one. That's not too bad. And I think that's us done for this one. So, Mythos. When the scream begins, you believe it to be a human being crying out in fear. By the time the last echoes die, you can only conclude it was some sort of wild beast, far closer than you would like. Each investigator suffers 1 face-down horror. Oh, just straight up. Okay. So, Wilson's looking quite bad on the horror. We might need to down that whiskey to get rid of it. Strange shadows move and coalesce in the rooms of the mansion, forming the same shadow of a familiar man in each of the rooms. With a start, you realise the shadow bears a strong resemblance to Thomas Carvey. Each investigator suffers 2 face-down horror, but willpower negates. Okay, well, Wilson, I'm going to need you to resolve this. Okay, he's fine. And Kechi, willpower 5, needing 2. Yeah, she's fine. Well, the body's like right there, so we should definitely investigate that. So we'll step over and see what's up with the body. Thomas Carvey lies on the floor, dead. His sightless eyes stare towards the ceiling. He appears burnt or shriveled, though you don't smell the stench of burning flesh. Underneath his body, a ritual circle has been drawn and lined with candle stubs. Search. You investigate the body of Thomas Carvey and find a dagger buried in his chest. You ease it from the body and watch strange symbols fade from its blade. Gain the ritual dagger, common item. Unsure what ritual Carvey's death may have served, you quickly collect the strange objects that have been placed around his body. Gain the ritual components, unique item, and 2 clues. Okay, so we've got ourselves some ritual components and a dagger from Thomas Carvey's body. So discard the search token. And that was action 1. So let's step over here and we'll get those next because I kind of want to investigate the murder scene, I suppose. So, on to Wilson Richards. First off, he's about to go nuts, so let's use an action to use the whiskey. Discard up to 2 face-down horror. Yes, please. And then flip this card. Broken bottle. Smash the bottle. It's crude, but it'll make a good enough weapon if you get into trouble. Treat it as a bladed weapon. Okay, cool. I mean, I've got a machete and 2 pistols, but yeah, broken bottle. Why not? Okay, and that was gone from last time, so don't need to worry about that. Let's see what happened to the other guests, I suppose. Because she's not saying it. Or shall I finish investigating this room? Let's finish investigating the room before we move on. So we'll step there and I'll investigate that next turn. Okay, on to the Mythos phase. Your eyes fall on a strange wooden toy hiding among the boxes and shelves. This Mythos event investigated in the storage room that suffered the least horror. I'm assuming that's basement storage or kitchen storage. In a storage room, so it's both technically. So Keshi's in there, resolve the effect. A carved wooden puppet that has eyes that seem too bright for glass or paint, and your mind dwells on the thought that you are nothing more than a toy maker's creation. Suffer 3 horror. Oh, so she realises that we're here. Suffer 3 horror, but willpower -1 negates. So, that's 4. Partial. Let's spend 2 clues to turn those 2 partials into actual successes. So we suffer a horror. Things move around in Thomas Carvey's home of their own volition, furniture sliding several inches out of place as though someone was shoving them in a great fit of rage. Each investigator suffers 2 horror, but law negates. Wilson, he only has 2. Passes both, he's fine. Kachi has 5. She is fine. Okay, investigators. So let's see what the other body in the room is. A ghastly figure with a misshapen arm is slumped in the corner. Behind it, a shelf has been left crooked, leaving a glimpse of a passage behind. Search it. The figure is dressed in coveralls and a broad-rimmed straw hat. One monstrous hand grips a muddy trowel. There was no mark on the body that suggested what caused its death. Wherever the blood on the floor came from, it was not this creature. Getting a clue, and then discard a search token. Okay, so that sounds like a gardener. And we know he's got a healthy interest in gardening, so clearly the two are related. Okay, so get rid of that. You find the shelf behind the creature swings outward easily, discard the wall, and place a secret passage instead. As you creep among the passage, you stumble over something on the ground. Gain the Cultist Journal unique item. The investigator holding the Cultist Journal may read the journal by interacting with it in the app. Yeah, so rule 1 of committing crimes, don't journal it. But you emerge in the humid conservatory. Discard the search token in the conservatory and place a secret passage. Okay, so that's what his interest in gardening was about. It was all about the secret passage, but someone knew about it. Move on space into the explored area, so I have to go to the conservatory. Okay, so I don't think we need the lamps, there's not much point going back there. Let's move Wilson around, shall we? Let's have a look at the thing that he's stood next to. One of the books looks familiar to you. You pull the book from the shelf and flip through the pages, lingering on familiar pictures. You find a chapter that contains useful information. Gain the Arcane Insight spell. Arcane Insight. You or another investigator with range gains a clue, and then flip the card. Okay. That's his first action, and for his second one, let's move him out here. 1, 2, and that's us both done. You're weary to the bone and your strength is now ebbing. Each investigator flips 2 damage face up. Ketchy has none, but Wilson has 2. Broken arm. You can't feel your arm at all. You think this might be a bad sign. Keep face up if you have more than 2 items. Drop all but 2 of your items. Oh boy. I have a lot of items. So I've got a string in pain, drop 2 random items, then flip the card face down, resolve immediately. Yeah, resolve immediately. Let's do that. So we'll drop the Tome of Secrets and the pocket watch as part of that. It's a spell an item? I don't think it is. But we will keep the medical textbook and the 45 automatic. The rest of the weapons will go. And since they're dropped, they drop where he is. And then flip this card face down, but that one keeps face up. The lights in the house flicker and a strange droning fills the air. The atmosphere of the mansion becomes oppressive and an impending sense of dread settles over you. The whisper of Carvey's voice recites the names of the people in this house, though you cannot figure out from where the voice originates. Each investigator suffers 4 face-down horror. Willpower negates. Wilson has 3 for his willpower. He's not negating it all, but 1. He negates 1. So he gets 3 face-down horror. 1, 2, 3. Okay, he is 1 horror away from going nuts. And Akechi has a willpower 5. 1, 2, 3. So she just gets 1 face-down horror. Let's have a look at that cultist journal that we found. You found this journal in the secret passage under the conservatory. The book is written in a strange cipher you do not recognise. You will need to decode it to learn more. Attempt the puzzle using law. Ketchy has 5. Okay, so if anyone's heard of it, this game is basically Mastermind. So I'm attempting using law. So I've got a law of 4 and 2 actions, which means I've got 8 based on that, and I've got like 8 clues, so we've got 16 actions basically. So using those 16 guesses, let's see what we can find. So let's just do all of one first, so we know exactly how many of them there are. There is one green. There are no yellow. There are two blue. There are no red. There is one grey. There is one purple. I mean, I probably didn't have to do that. I probably could have just figured that out if I didn't steamroll through. So that's used 6, so I've got 2 actions left before I start burning into clues. So there's a green, there are 2 blues, there is a grey, and there is a purple. So 2 in the right place and 3 need shifting round. So let's start with that and then go grey, purple, blue. Still wrong. Let's just try it the other way. Purple, blue, grey. Ooh. Oh, hang on. I pressed a yellow by mistake. So, but the rest are right. So the yellow's the wrong one. So green, blue, purple, blue, grey. Got it. That took 10 guesses. So I need to burn 2 clues. Okay, so I burned 2 clues in order to get through that, but we managed to unlock the cultist journal. Now decoded, you page through the entries and find the book to mostly be rituals and formulae centered around being a being of the name by Yog Sothoth. Someone has gone through great trouble to gather as much information as possible. Only the final entry of the journal holds some clues to your specific mystery, however. The others do not yet understand. We do small rites and rituals, gaining knowledge that leads to nothing more than financial success. There has to be a greater plan for this knowledge, and I seek to serve it. There is so much in this universe I could see, so much I could know. A price must be paid, of course, but it cannot be that different from any of the other poor wretches we have dragged here for the group. It will be Carvey. I think he is the only other one who really understands what is at stake here, and I do not want him getting any ideas about me. And of course, it is always convenient to eliminate those that undercut my prices. Okay, so talking business interests here. It's not Bruce that works with Carvey, that's his dad. The one that does and has competition is Leyland, so I believe him to be the murderer. Let's go confront Leyland, I guess. Let's go right up to him. 1, 2, and have a chat. Hey Leyland, I'm going to accuse you of murder. As an action, you can accuse Leyland Williams of murder. Are you sure you want to do this? Yes. The ghost of Thomas Carvey appears behind Leyland Williams and passes one faint hand through the murderer's heart. With a solemn nod, the ghost confirms your suspicions. Leyland Williams puffs on his cigar. It does not matter, he shrugged. This is merely a setback. Discard Leyland from the board and spawn a thrall. I was promised ultimate knowledge. He will not stand in my way now. The murderer produces a silver key and makes a strange gesture. A moment later, an otherworldly portal appears in the hall. The gate is open. As soon as I have cleaned up loose ends here, I can take what was promised to me. Spawn another thrall. Another monstrous person steps from the rift. Spawn another thrall. Yeah, I probably should have given Akechi the other gun. There is a shriek and cries for help from around the house. The others scramble to cover and protect themselves. Discard all persons tokens from the board. And it's us to go. And that's everything because I found out the secret, walked up and accused him of murder, and I have no actions left. I'm about to get wailed on. Mythos phase. Akechi Onye's limbs are wrenched into impossible angles by an invisible force. She suffers 4 damage, but strength plus 1 negates. So 3 plus 1, 4. 2 successes and a partial, so spend a clue to convert the partial to an actual success, so she suffers 1 damage, and it is face up. Lasting injury, no, keep it face up, no effect, but keep it face up. The thrall moves 2 spaces to the nearest investigator, which is that one over there. Then it attacks who has suffered the most damage. The monster attacks. 16 wounds, yeesh. The creature strikes where you are weakest using the terrible secrets of his master. Agility needing 1 to pass. Wilson has 4. He passes. If you pass, the blows come too slow to injure. The Thrall with the red token in the purple moves 2 spaces towards the nearest investigator. 1, 2, and then attacks. The thrall reaches a single bulbous arm around you. You become mesmerised. Ooh, so we get a mesmerised card. You feel safe in its gentle embrace. Willpower needing 2 to pass. I have 3. Oh, I fail. Do I have anything I can reroll with? I don't think I have. So that's a fail. If you fail, you begin to black out as the creature's grip on your throat tightens. Suffer 2 face down damage. The thrall moves 2 spaces towards the nearest investigator. 1, 2. Got a good old bully circle on here, and it attacks. Every move you make is a struggle, countered expertly by the creature. As a thrall closes for a devastating blow, you realise it is moving moments before you, anticipating every dodge. Suffer 3 damage, but law plus 1 negates. So I only have 3 with that. And let's burn a clue to pass 1 at least. So that gets me 2 damage. 1, 2, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I am 2 more damage away from being wounded. Each investigator must resolve a horror check against a monster within range. So it's only Wilson who can see all them. So let's resolve a horror check. You glimpse for a moment the person that the thrall used to be, not twisted to a dark purpose, but happy with loved ones. This tragic realisation is more than you can bear. Suffer 2 face down horror. Oh, straight up. 1, 2, which is more than his threshold, so Wilson Richards goes nuts. Okay, so grabbing an insanity card. Arcane Aspirations. Regular weapons are useless against the powers aligned against you. The only thing that can keep you safe from otherworldly harm is otherworldly protection. You do not win the game as normal, instead you win only if the investigation is complete and you have 1 or more spells, otherwise you lose the game. Okay, so he's still got his Arcane Insight, which, rubbish that it is still very much a spell. So as long as Wilson Richards can keep that spell, he is still part of the victory condition, so he's not out to actively sabotage us. And after you resolve a horror check, become focused. So he becomes focused. Into the investigate phase. Okay, so one of those throws has more damage allocated to it. The 2 of them, the purple and the blue one, have 6 health, and the other one has 16. So I think it's the one in the red dress we've got to focus down. So I'll use both of his actions to fire his 45 automatic straight into their face. Attacking with a firearm. Your hands shake as adrenaline pumps through your veins. You open fire despite the difficulty. Agility needing 4. Well, needing 2, but I have 4. Partial on a success. Burn a clue. Make that a success. We hit. If you pass your marksmanship overcomes your uncooperative limbs, the monster suffers damage equal to the weapon's damage. So it suffers 4 damage. And then we'll attack again, also with a firearm. You face off against your foe, silently willing it to make a move. As soon as you sense motion, you draw your weapon. Observation needing 2. Wilson has 3. I will discard my focus to convert all partials to actual successes. So focus goes away. And we hit. If you pass, your weapon is up and firing before your enemy can react. The monster suffers damage equal to the weapon. So it's half dead. Okay. We need to get a catchy in on this action. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. So she just rounds the corner, seeing the mob. A strange, vaporous colour fills the air. This mythos event affects each investigator in the conservatory. No one's there. Okay, so the big thrall moves 2 spaces towards the nearest and attacks. The creature whispers to you in the voice of a loved one, making you doubt your every move. Willpower needing 2 to pass. I have 3. 1, that's a fail. If you fail, your mind is open to a horrible force. You pull your horror face up and become mesmerised. Hang on, actually Wilson was mesmerised first from the last turn, so let's do that. Place fire in your space. Whoops. And then discard the card, and then he gets another mesmerised. And flip all the horror face up, it's already face up. The thrall moves 2 spaces towards the nearest investigator and then attacks. The thrall whispers something. When you lean in to listen, an alien will invades your mind, and you are filled with a strange calm. Become dazed and mesmerised. Well, I'm already mesmerised, so we become dazed as well. And what dazed does is we can't spend clues to... Oh, okay. So we can't spend the one clue we have left to help us next time. Then flip one horror face down. Okay, so paranoia goes face down, I guess. Next door, attacks. The thrall speaks in gentle tones, meeting your gaze squarely, but you see its lips do not move. Law needing 3 to pass. Well, he's only got 2. No, roll it. Oh, look, failed. If you fail, you try to block your ears, drawing blood with your frantic attempts, suffer 2 face-down damage, and become mesmerised. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so that's enough for him to become wounded as well. Discard all the face-down damage. And Wilson Richards is now wounded. Wounded. You cannot perform the move action more than once each round. When you suffer damage equal to your health, you are eliminated. So it's not looking good for Wilson right now. You glimpse for a moment the person the thrall used to be. Just suffer 2 face-down horror. 1, 2, 3 more horror, and Wilson's mind cracks. So we need to get this done now. Also, because we're all currently stood in a space with fire, everybody on it suffers damage. So Wilson suffers a damage, as do the thralls, but we'll do that in the investigate phase. Part of the wind I can't move, but I can use both my actions, as well as the dazed. So let's open up into the lead thrall again. Attack with a firearm. Your hands shake as adrenaline pumps, needing agility of 2. I have 4. And I can't convert clues because of dazed, so I miss. If you fail, the shaking proves too much as your shots veer wildly off course. Okay, well, let's attack again. Attack with firearm. Same check again. Needing 2, and I've got 4. Misses again. Ugh. It is not looking good for Wilson at all, because we wouldn't be able to attack if we go. So we're just going to have to go in there with the wither. We'll move there 1, 2, and because the wither's ranged, she can attack the lead thrall without being directly next to it. So we will attack it with a spell. You call upon the terrible energies needed to craft your curse. Voices in your mind push you to reach for ever more power. Law check. Needing 2 to pass, she has 4. Yep, she passes. Roll 2 additional dice if you suffered 3 or more horror. Oh, she has, but we passed anyway. If you pass, you cackle gleefully as otherworldly energy erupts from your hands. The monster suffers damage equal to your test results. 1, 2, 3. I should roll 2 additional dice then, because it may do additional stuff. Actually, no, not 3. That wasn't part of it. Just 1, 2. 1. And let's spend a clue to convert that to another success. So it would get 4 damage. Flipping the wither. For once, the spell seems to go exactly as written in that old book. No additional effect. Discard the spell and gain another one. Okay, so they are all still alive. Unfortunately, we didn't manage to kill them. So going into the mythos phase. The piles of forgotten objects. Wilson Richards finds a delicate music box. When he opens it, the ethereal melody takes him far beyond this world. He suffers 2 horror and becomes mesmerised. Well, forgot again. Resolve the mesmerised from last turn. Move 2 spaces away from another random investigator. Then discard this card. So 1, 2, and discard that card. And because of that, he gains 2 horror and becomes mesmerised again. Although actually that mesmerisation might actually save him, because now he's away from the mob. But yeah, he is 1 horror away from mentally breaking. The thrall whispers something. When you lean to listen, become dazed and mesmerised, then flip the horror face down. So Kachi gets a mesmerisation and she becomes dazed. The thrall moves 2 spaces towards the nearest investigator and attacks. He steps in. How's it go? Thrall reaches a single bulbous arm around you. Willpower needing 2 to pass. She has 5. Yep, passes. If you pass, you snap to your senses in time to force the creature away. Last one, attacks. The thrall speaks to you in gentle tones, meeting your gaze squarely. Law needing 3 to pass, and she has 4. 1, 2, and let's spend that partial. Actually, no, it's, yeah, to succeed. Yeah, because we need to do that. Okay. If you pass your strength of your mind against the alien influence, all is well. Each investigator must resolve a horror check. So resolving a horror check for Kechi. She's very much surrounded. You glimpse but for a moment the person the Thor used to be. She gets 2 face down horror. 1, 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. She is 2 away from going insane. First of all, that fire spreads. So it spreads there. And no one finished their thing in it, so they're fine. So let's attack with a spell on the lead one. Race through the incantation and arcane gestures, pulling your own improvised spin on the magic words. Lore +1. So she has a full 5. Also, the ritual dagger gives us an additional spell, so we'll just count that as a reroll if it fails. So there's a fail, so we'll reroll for the ritual dagger. Still a fail. We get 2. The monster suffers damage equal to your test result. So it suffers 1, 2 damage, then flip the spell we attacked with. The spell rides in your mind like a living being, lashing out at random around you. Suffer 1 face down damage. Oh dear. So it's actually backlashed and hit us. So we get another one. And let's attack it again with a spell to try and finish it off. As you utter the arcane words, you suddenly find yourself alone, enveloped in darkness. A disembodied voice questions you in a language you do not recognise but instinctively understand. Lore needing 2 to pass. She has 4. And roll an extra dice for the ritual dagger when casting a spell. 5. 1 and a partial. Spend a clue to convert the partial. If you pass a far-off sound, echoes in your mind. As the veil of darkness lifts, you recognise it as your foe's scream. The monster suffers damage equal to the spell's damage plus your test result, which is enough to kill it. Off goes the thrall. An invisible force slams the murderer into the ground, and you hear the sound of Carvey's bitter laughter. The investigation is complete. Okay, and so concludes our investigation. Nearly ended terribly well, with Wilson Richards almost succumbing to a complete mental break. Akashi wasn't far behind him, actually. She nearly went insane as well, but not too bad all considered. So, thank you for joining us on this investigation with Mansions of Madness. Let me know what you thought about it and if you'd like to see more of these, and we shall see you hopefully in the next one.